This is my review on all 5 Final Destination movies. You know, I like the first one that was made, that's called Final Destination, not the fourth one that's called The Final Destination. I know, very confusing title. Well, you see, one actually is the one that says The Final Destination is not the first one. It is actually the fourth installment in the franchise. The fourth one made. The titles are they basically made them from all these movies made in the year 2000 to 2011, and every year in the years in between 2000 and 2011. There's 5 movies total, and you know, this is the one of the franchise that goes all downhill after the first one. You see, and that would be the first one made. After the first one, it goes all downhill from there. Once the first one ends, then the first one's good from beginning to end. It's very, as is really interesting, and but after the first one, the sequel is just, oh boy. You know how the Scary Movie franchise went downhill after the first one? Well, same goes for the Final Destination, except maybe it did it worse than the Scary Movie franchise, because I will say the Scary Movie franchise had tried hard to mixing up the formula, but at least I remember, and also at least I remember more of the Scary Movie franchise as a whole, versus the Final Destination franchise as a whole. As I have more trouble remembering the Final Destination franchise sequels than the Scary Movie sequels from the Scary Movie franchise as spoof films of horror movies. Oh boy, that is not a good thing when you know that's the case in this movie. So the first one is called Final Destination. Second one's called Final Destination 2. Third one's called Final Destination 3. Fourth one's called The Final Destination. I guess they were playing on. I guess supposedly this was really going to be the last Final Destination one. But then they decided to come back with a fifth one called Final Destination 5, and in case you were confused, what does the Final Destination 1 take place in? It takes place around this. It's the sequel to the third one. In all these movies, ironic enough, take place around the same time period in the 2000 year of 2000, because that's when the first one took place. These are all events. Each each installment takes place in the same year, around the same time frame. Well, how do I know? It's because as the sequels get more and more, go on more with the sequel, it's more obvious. We see appearing from other characters from the past that look like they haven't really aged that much. And then we see at the end of the fourth one or fifth one, I think it's the fifth one actually, it's the end of the fifth one, or it could be fourth one, installment of the Final Destination franchise. We see this kid getting escorted off the plane because he has a freak out on the plane, thinking there's a bomb on the plane. And that's actually the main protagonist. Exactly what happens to the main protagonist in the opening scene of the first film after he has a premonition of a nightmare. Obviously, I have a nightmare that turns out was a premonition of the plane blowing up. First, he just thought it was that he just had a freak out, but then he realized that it actually happened. It was going to happen, and he decides to be freaky. So you're not really sure for the first one. You get the free act structure, and at first, you're not really sure the kid's crazy and he planned on bombing the plane. Once you you're not sure the kid's crazy or and paranoid, or some this really some sort of entity, like evil entity, like killing people, and then we comes to like realize throughout the film as it goes on and on, you realize the kid's not crazy. There's some sort of real entity throughout the film that we don't know what it is at all in the first one. Or in the late installment, it's never stressed what the evil entity is. It's just like referred to as death. Like people mean the final destination, not like the death, like the Grim Reaper death. No, death like as in the end for them, death. But yeah, how the death plays is sort of like, I guess you can't really escape it, but you can skip it and like have it happen to the other person if it skips you, and then you have like long time to live. But it all ends up with anyone death dying in a brutal, vicious, gory fashion. And so I mean, it's interesting concept in the first one, because the kids doing research on it, but and they're trying to figure out how to avoid death, like dying horribly, in a horrible way, and the first one he saw was death proofs his house, and well, says fuck you to death, and says I got death proof this house, this in my garage, and I'm surviving on tuna, and somehow he's been in the house for the garage for months, surviving on cans of tuna, and I wonder how does he go into the bathroom? Where has he gone to the bathroom? And he only survives. He only has tuna, no water or fluid of any kind, as far as we know. This tuna that we've seen in months, you know, and you know, and this is after all crazy shit happens, when his friends think that he's his best buddy thinks he's crazy. His like best buddy's not sure if his friend's crazy, but sick by him anyway. Then they come to realize that he's not crazy. There is some sort of evil entity going on, and that's what killed another one of his friends in the bathroom after getting strained by a shower curtain. And you know, and now I guess, yeah. So the parents blame the main character for the suicide attempt, assumably. You assume the kid committed suicide because of the main character, and sadly the parents don't die because they're shitty people, and shitty people get to live in the Final Destination franchise. Like those people. At least also in the first one. You know, it's like, it's, and then and then this, like, when they all live happy ever after and having lunch together, a few decades later, or something, 10 years later, something like that. 10 minutes past, they're old now, and then the main character gets the idea that he could still be next, and his escape from that wasn't really escape, more like it just skipped him, went to another person, and or it could be skipped, or it could be like someone else that's like going to get killed, and then his best friend believes, new best friend believes him and says, you know, you could, or, you know, either two things can happen. You could be crazy and all this, you'd be paranoid, or you could still be next person to die. And he believes the other thing, that he's still next. So this one, he's saying he's about to get killed off. The guy saves him. His best friend saves him, and he tells main character, "You see, I told you were next." And he says, "But it skipped me. So who's next then?" And apparently, the one that saved the main character is Nick, because he gets, wow, brutally murdered, pretty brutally, and that's the end of the film. And that sucks. And you think that's where the sequels will leave? One of the sequels will leave off where that one ended. Like this one, it was getting really intense, and you're ready to get to the really nuts parts of this what's going on. But see, that's the thing where you're wrong. It does not continue the story from the first one, and any of the sequels. Each one tells a separate story, and doesn't know how to link any of them together outside a few Easter eggs, and to say this takes place in the same time period that they hammer into you. But it doesn't know how to really continue on. It really doesn't know. You know how the Saw films are the original original Saw films, not five, but the original Saw films before Jigsaw, they all took place in at the same time period, but they knew how to continue the story on, and also link the past ones together with the additional side stories. And even though it kind of struggled at times, you got what they were doing. They were building a world while expanding on the anthology of Saw. It got some closure of all the bad shit stuff is going on, and how this person's able to do this stuff. It's because he's a mechanic, and he's very smart and can make these contraptions himself in the Saw franchise. But this Final Destination franchise, you would think they would take some inspiration from the Saw franchise, like that stuff, and from the Saw franchise, want to link them all together, or continue the threads of the stories from the previous ones, while telling a new story at the same time. Well, ending the past story while continuing the new story for the sequel film, and do that over and again. But it looks like it wants to do that, but it doesn't really seems like it knows how to do that with the Final Destination franchise. So yeah, that's why I don't like these movies outside of the first one. I say the first one, give it a 10 out of 10. I wish the kept up with the quality the first one had, but when they made the sequels, but they didn't. So, and I hear they're making a remake of the franchise, or a reboot of the franchise, I hear they're making a new that's one's being done in the works, and they're going to make basically just press the reset button, and well, I guess hopefully this if they do make more than one for the upcoming franchise, for the new upcoming Final Destination, they make a franchise that this didn't feel wasted opportunity like the original franchise for the original 5 movies of the Final Destination movies. So yeah, the first one gets a 10 out of 10. The sequels all get 0 out of 10, because I can't really think why we want to go back to watch them, other than to torture the people I love, to prove my point. That I'm right, and that's the only reason, okay? And that's my review on all 5 Final Destination movies.